Space, the final frontier, is not what this video is about. I might have fooled you a little bit with the Star Trek The Next Generation collector's case, but I am not opening a Star Trek toy. However, I am opening a Playmates toy. And what I keep here in my Star Trek case are actually my Toxic Crusaders. So if you'll notice, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the figures. That means I'm missing one. There are 9 figures in this line. So today what I am kind of opening, and I'll explain the kind of here in a second, is that missing figure. Now before I do that, if you haven't seen my video where I open the Toxic Crusaders Panini stickers, I would appreciate you checking that out because it has like -5 views. It's not super interesting. It's just something where I purchased a box of these and I opened some up. And I don't know, I like Toxic Crusaders. I think it's a cool line. The cartoon's good. The comic's good. You know, the toys are good. So check that out. I'll post a link down below. So I mentioned that I kind of, and I've done this before with actually some Z-Bots. There were some Z-Bots toys that had been opened and kind of put back on the card. So it's sort of a vintage kind of freedom, or a vintage sort of toy freedom, in the sense that, like, I'm opening it, but it's not, you know, totally sealed. So what we have here today is a Toxic Crusaders Junkyard by Playmates from 1991. I got this off my buddy Jerome at House of Plastic, so shout out to Jerome and House of Plastic. If you're ever in Cincinnati, check it out. It's off of 275, the Amelia Beachmont exit. You turn right. A lot of cool stuff there. Somebody had brought in a bunch of Toxic Crusaders. Actually, I think he said almost a full set minus 1. 2 were sealed. The others were, you know, you can see the cards have been kind of resealed. And so it's complete. It's on the card, but I don't have it. I mean, you saw, you know, in my Star Trek The Next Generation collector's case, I don't have this figure. And so I wanted to complete my Toxic Crusaders line. It was a good price, you know, considering that it's mint and it's complete. And a lot of times, so each of these Toxic Crusaders figures came with like a secret glow-in-the-dark thing, which is, I mean, on the back it kind of tells you what it is. His is a glow-in-the-dark spiked newspaper. Those are hard to find. I mean, they're kind of in general, like, these accessories are kind of hard to find. Playmates went the same monochromatic route they did with Ninja Turtles in those accessories. So sometimes you'll see those mixed in with turtle stuff, but, you know, people pay like $10. I mean, I've seen just that go for 10, just that go for 10. So, you know, 10, 20, 30, that might not go for as much as, you know, maybe 8. The figure is worth at least 10, if not more. Sometimes he's missing his tongue because it kind of comes out. We'll look at that here in a minute. And the belt. So, I mean, if you were to piece this together, 10, 20, 30, let's say 35 for the belt, 40, the figure, 15, 55. I mean, the card, I don't have any of these. I have no card backs, no file cards. You don't really see people selling those too much. So, you know, I was happy to pay the price I paid for this. It was definitely worth it. And it was a bit more than $2.50, which is what this went for at KB, which is, man, I mean, how wouldn't you just love to go back to KB and buy a bunch of these for $2.50? So, the one thing, though, this has been taped actually with packaging tape, which is like, oh, man. So, I have a box cutter here. Now, if you're, you know, for any of the children at home watching this, please be careful. Use adult supervision. Always cut away from yourself. I want to show you something here. Let's see if we can focus in on it. You can kind of see it right there, that scar on my hand. This is like one of the nerdiest things of my life. I actually got that scar on my hand from opening a toy with a knife. And I went and it sliced my hand. I had to go get stitches because you could see like fatty tissue, and you can kind of see like a tendon or whatever. It was really gross. I had to go get stitches, and I was like pretty late for work too, because I had to go to the ER and get stitches in my hand, and obviously I had to pay the ER bill, which was, I don't know, a couple $100 or something. I actually passed out because I don't like needles and kind of freaked me out, but I have a scar on my hand. What toy was it? It was the Simpsons World at Springfield. I believe it was the Toys R Us exclusive Christmas set. I think that's what it was. And yeah, man, I had a knife. You know, it wasn't a box cutter like this, but I had a knife and I just went whoosh, and just cut my hand open. So I know it's a funny story and I'm kind of like being kind of jokey, but like honestly, be careful with sharp objects because, you know, not only did I lose money from going into work late, I had to pay money for the ER bill. It sucked. It hurt. Just because I, you know, went like this instead of like this. So always cut away from yourself. Always be careful. Maybe even, you know, I should probably be wearing like my mechanics gloves, but I'm not. So I'm going to be very careful. And the reason I'm using this razor knife or box cutter, whatever you want to call it, is because I don't want to damage the card. I was looking for my X-Acto knife, but I can't find it. I have the blades. I don't know where I put the knife. So I'm trying my best to cut the packaging tape on here. And it looks like somebody... No, this has definitely been taken all the way off the card. Sometimes what you'll see... let's see what I did there. I had my thumb here. What could happen? Boom, cut my thumb. So, you know, make sure you always cut away from yourself. Never cut toward yourself. I tell my kids that when we're carving pumpkins. That knife will slip, and man, you could really hurt yourself. But I'm just trying to be really careful because I don't want to damage the card. I want to keep the card intact, and I want it to be in good condition because it's cool, and I don't have it. So, you know, if I peel this, it's going to start taking off a lot of the... maybe not. Probably the back so much. Really what I want to do is preserve the back of the card. Because the front, obviously, when you peel the bubble off, is going to rip it. But the back, there's not a whole lot of packaging tape on there. But I want to be careful with it because it's cool and I like it. And this is actually... So sometimes, you know, the things that I open for this channel are just like weird things that I get for cheap that I go and sell when I'm done with them. Because I'm just like, you know, it's not something I collect. This is something I actually collect and something that I like. And I've this is the toy line that I've decided to collect for 2020. I don't really collect a whole lot anymore. I'm always trying to complete my Joe collection and my Masters Universe and Princess of Power collection. But I'm at the point now where the things I need are getting kind of hard to find or kind of expensive. So I honestly can't remember the last time I got something I actually needed for one of those lines. So we're making some progress here. This is the most careful I've ever been with a toy on this channel. And I've made hundreds of videos at this point, which is kind of crazy to think about. So, you know, if you're new to this or, you know, you get bored. Oh, there we go. And I think that probably, I can see the tape on there. So that was probably already ripped. We'll go ahead and just take that off. It's fine. And then it looks like... Hold on. Let's scooch him out of the way. Yeah, I think that's what happened. I think somebody opened this on like 3 sides. So sometimes, and you'll see this actually happen, sometimes it's not deliberate, like somebody didn't actually open it. It just came off over time, the glue. I would think because maybe humidity. Because I've actually seen that where it's really kind of a clean break. Because if you think about it, if you were a kid and you open this, you know, you're just going to be like, and you're going to rip it. This looks like a pretty clean, you know, the glue just kind of came undone after the years. And it does look like here on the right, it is still intact. So, I'm going to keep that as is and, you know, cool display piece for sure. Like, again, I don't have any of the card backs or file cards. So that's really, really neat. So we got Junkyard here. And so if you're not familiar with the whole sort of concept about Toxic Crusaders, obviously they all, you know, got kind of mutated. Similar idea of like Ninja Turtles into these different creatures. So Toxie was like a nerd and he fell into some toxic waste and became this like, you know, tough guy or whatever, the superhero. He was actually wearing a tutu at the time, so that's why he has a tutu. It's just kind of funny and weird. Junkyard, obviously, was a dog, and Headbanger was like a mad scientist and a surfer dude. They kind of fell together, et cetera, et cetera. No Zone was like a pilot. Major Disaster was obviously like an army guy or something. I don't know. So Bonehead was like a bully that bullied Toxie in his sort of hometown. Okay, so this is cool. So the secret toxic glow-in-the-dark weapon, so radioactive we put it under wraps. This is actually sealed. I am not going to open this. I'm going to keep it as is because you don't find these loose. Hardly ever. Some of them are a little bit easier to find, like Psycho. And the reason why his is a little bit easier to find because it attaches to his foot. Some of them have grenades. Toxie actually comes with this little dude, which sells for like $15 to $20. Headbangers is like a little kind of scope that goes on his gun. Radiation Ranger has mines. No Zone is actually like goo. It's like glow-in-the-dark goo. And the reason you'll see his goggles missing is because you take the goggles off, you pour it in his head, and it comes out of his nose. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, so these are pretty hard to find. I don't think I've actually never seen one still sealed in the package. So I'm going to hang on to that. So he's got his slogan stick. He's got his dog bone brainer to kind of, boom, hit him in the head. He's got his belt. There's like a bug on the back or whatever. So just kind of wacky and fun. Now the thing is, it says to fold the toxic tongue in the Junkyard's mouth in an accordion pattern, then pull back his head and watch as the long licking tongue laps out. So I'm a little nervous to do this because you will see this figure minus his tongue because, you could definitely kind of rip it out. But I think the idea is that, you just kind of go blat and he kind of blat or whatever. So this is a, almost 30 years old now, 29 years old collectible. So I want to be, careful with it. I want to keep it in good condition because it's very cool. And, that plastic is, pretty thin, but cool figure. I mean, just a really cool sculpt. I mean, Playmates knocked these out of the park. Whoever actually, worked on the illustration and the animations and stuff. I mean, it's really cool. It's just really fun. It's goofy. Check it out. If there's an app called Tubi, so if you have like a Roku or on your phone or whatever, it's TUBI. It's free. There are some ads, but nothing crazy. And you could actually see the Toxic Crusaders movie. It's about, I don't know if it's an hour, it might be 45 minutes on there. So check it out. There's the cartoon. There's the comic book by Marvel. You can find them for really cheap. I found one for like $1 in the dollar bin at a local comic book store. Just a really cool, fun, like gross 90s, kind of thing. Like this is my jam right here. So, I had, as a kid, I feel like I definitely had, I know I had No Zone. I know that for a fact. I might have had another figure, but I can't confirm that. But I know 100% sure that I had No Zone. So, cool figure. Again, kind of a vintage toy, kind of freedom. This had been obviously taped up or whatever, but I'm going to display him like this. He's going to go into, maybe on the shelf. I don't know if I'm going to hide him away in this Star Trek The Next Generation thing. You got some Data, Worf, Captain Jean-Luc Picard, and some of the other folks. I don't really know all their names. But thanks for watching. As always, open your toys, play with them, and as it says here on the bottom of this package, as a detox tip, don't be a punk, recycle junk. So make sure you recycle, help save planet Earth. You don't want Dr. Kill-Em-Off and the Radiation Rangers and some of these bad guys to have their way. Otherwise, we'll all be, covered in goo and sludge and things like that.